Okay, here's the track in its current form from the intro up until the end of the melody. I've got that new little reverse piano bit I put in there. And it's time to start making the rest of the track, so exploding the arrangement outwards. So I'm going to have a video, which is the next video after this, where I will be exploding this whole track into the full arrangement. That video will be a little bit longer than usual, and that's an optional thing to watch. If you want to just go for it based on what I tell you here, that's totally fine. But if you want to watch me do it, you can check out that video and you'll see kind of the techniques I'm using to extend my song. But I'll give you some ideas right now. Firstly, did you complete your intro? Did you expand your intro out so it fades into your main loop yet? If not, do that first. Once that's done, then you're going to have the proper basis to start expanding the rest of your song out. You don't always have to do it this way, intro first, but it's good to try at least a few times so you get the sense of contour, which is the second point. Always keep in mind this contour. How do you want it to go? Starting soft, building up, holding steady for a bit, dropping away, building up, coming down, building up to even bigger. Think about how the song should flow over time, because that's going to help keep interest. And that's the main thing to keep in mind when we're expanding the song into a full track is, are we getting bored? Listen to the song from the beginning as if you're a listener, not the creator of the song, and feel it out. Do you feel interested the whole time? Are there parts where it repeats too much and it gets too boring? You may have to add new elements in. So that's totally fine to add new elements in that aren't in your main loop. Once you start expanding and start trying to fill up that space, you may find that you need something else to keep the interest up. Go into Lydian Loops Volume 2, grab some other stuff, throw it in. Or you can go into the loops that come with Studio One, search for some percussion loops or something, and throw those in. I'm going to be doing that for sure when I expand my song out. Percussion is a great way to add interest to a song over time, to take a section that's a little bit repetitive, a little bit boring, and then when you repeat it, you can add the percussion in and it sounds more interesting. The other thing is that it's good to have a couple other melodies, at least one more, like I talked about before. I've got my main section here, my one melody, but I'll probably compose another melody to go over this as well so that I can swap between them and it creates a little bit more interest. I may use this flute sound again, or I may use a synthesizer or a piano, or I'm not sure what yet, but some other melody so that we have like a contrast between the two. The last thing I'll say is that it's good to aim for a minimum of 3 minutes with this track. So by the time you reach the very end, and we're going to talk about doing an outro after the next video, you should have at least 3 minutes. If it's 4, fine. 5, fine. But at least 3. So that's going to force you to try and keep the interest level up as you stretch it out, and you're going to have to find creative ways to do that because it may start to get too repetitive if you just do the same things over and over and over again. If you want some ideas, again, you can watch my next video where I'm going to expand this track, but you can also just go for it and see what happens. Just remember to keep that interest level in mind and take yourself into the role of the listener and think, what does the song need in this moment? What can I change? What can I add? A new melody, percussion, a part from earlier in the song can come back. And by the end, you want to have come to your main loop at least twice, if not 3 times. So it builds up from the intro, you're at the main loop. It breaks down, it comes back to the main loop. Maybe it goes to one other melody and then back to the main loop again, and then it ends. That's an example of a song structure you could follow. But you can create your own too, so long as you repeat some key parts a few times, because you've worked hard on that main loop, and it's good to show it a couple times so that people who like it can hear it. And that's why they're going to come back to listen to the song repeatedly, is to hear those parts they like. You don't want to repeat it too much or it's going to get boring, but twice, maybe 3 times is a good amount. Okay, so the task here is the whole song in terms of the whole arrangement. So if you missed any parts, make sure you go back. We had that first loop made, that main loop. Now in this task, we created the intro, smoothly going into the main loop, and then we used all those sections, all those parts, those instruments, and stretched them out to create the full song. So All the methods I talked about during the last videos you can use. You can create your own methods and try things and experiment. The idea is to get a full song that needs to be at least 3 minutes long. My song here ended up being, what have I got? 3 minutes and 31 seconds. That's like the normal length for a modern pop song, rock song that you hear on the radio is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a good place to shoot for, but it can be longer. Just don't make it shorter than 3 minutes. That's part of the task. If it is shorter than 3 minutes, you'll be asked to extend it and keep the interest level up until you get to that. So that's the other main point about this task is pay attention to your interest level. Is the song getting too boring? Is it too repetitive? Add new elements in, take things out, use some different loops you didn't use before, find some percussion loops maybe, but take your time with this. Don't just rush it. Make every decision and think about it and decide, does it really sound good? Is that the way I want it to? Put care into the song, and then in the end, people will enjoy it much more because of the care you took with it. So that's all for now, and once you've got that done, you can move on to the mixing stage, which is pretty cool, and we're going to learn how to take all these composed elements, add some reverb, add some delay, do some panning and volume and things like this, and it's going to sound even better than it does now. Okay, so I'll begin expanding this song in the next video.